This video is brought to you by Gladiator Concealment and S4 Tactical Gear. Links are in the description box below. What's up, guys? Michael and Kyle with AKM Tactical. Appreciate y'all watching. I want to take a few minutes and talk to you guys about getting your kids into firearms, getting young people into firearms. We actually had a viewer message us, kind of talking to us a little bit and asking us what we thought about it and asking us if we wanted to do a video or just tell them about it, and we decided we'd do a video about it. You know, that's probably the easiest way. So here we go. You know, getting your kids into firearms. You know, that is a really hot topic with a lot of people because they think kids shouldn't be around guns. I don't know about for you, but for me, I don't remember how old I was, but I was pretty young when my dad started introducing me to firearms. I had a BB gun, all that kind of stuff, and then it was kind of like bam. I probably had my first gun bought for me when I was about 8.
First, like, actual gun, not
first
gun.
Actual gun that was mine when I was about 8. You know, it's one of those things that I believe personally, you might not agree with me, but I personally believe that if you, as soon as they're old enough to understand, if you start teaching them and exposing them and showing them, they're not curious. And when they're not curious, they're not going to go for it. They're not going to mess with it. You know, as soon as I was old enough to understand what a gun was and what it could do, my dad started teaching me. And back when I was a kid, you didn't even really have gun safes all that much. There wasn't many houses in America that had a gun safe. You had a gun rack. You had a gun rack on the wall, or you had guns in the closet, or you had guns in a cabinet. I mean, whatever. All of the guns that my dad owned when I was growing up were just here and there.
Staged.
You know, staged here and there. I could go anywhere at any time and grab one of them, and I didn't. You know why I didn't? First of all, I knew he would beat the brakes off of me if I did. Second of all, I wasn't curious about him. Because all I had to do was say, hey Dad, can I look at the 1911? Sure, you know, and he'd get it and he'd unload it, hand it to me, and I'd get to do whatever and piddle with it and give it back to him, you know. When I was old enough to start shooting, I would go out and I would shoot. I remember being, you know, 12, 13 years old, and him taking me to Walmart, buying me a big 550 round box of 22 ammo, and I'd go get every 22 in the house and take it out on the back deck, and I would sit out there and shoot that entire box. Do you know who was with me when I did that?
Nobody.
Nobody. Me, by myself. Teach these kids how to handle these guns safely. Teach them what to do. And take the curiosity out of it, and you don't have to worry about it as much, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Now, my wife doesn't agree with that. My daughter is 8 years old, and my wife is still nervous about her being around a firearm. She's getting better about it, but how I've started it with Anna, I guess probably a couple of years ago, maybe even further back than that. Santa Claus brought her a BB gun. Two BB guns. Santa Claus brought her a lever action Red Ryder pink rifle and an actual Smith & Wesson M&P clone BB gun. So it's same size as a full-size M&P, you know, has a little detachable stick looking magazine that holds like 18 BBs, runs off CO2, you actually load it, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So that to me was a tool that I could take her out to the range with those firearms and start teaching her the basics, the basics that come along with being safe with a gun. And like with that M&P BB pistol, you know, you can't rack the slide on it, but you can practice trigger discipline. You can practice muzzle discipline. You can practice all the four or five, whatever, 4 basic safety rules with that BB gun. And she is totally 100% at 8 years old safe with that BB gun. I can hand her that BB gun and she will not muzzle me. She will not muzzle anything except what she wants to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, her finger is up straight and off the trigger until she's ready, because I've taken that gun and I've taught her those safety rules with that BB gun. And in all honesty, we wear iPro, you know, that kind of thing. I've taught her that part of it. And I hate to say this, but if she accidentally shot me, it's a BB gun.
Less lethal.
It's a lot less lethal. The chances, I've never heard anybody dying from a BB gun.
And you could.
You could, I guess. But, you know, I'd much rather do that than take, here you go.
Another option out there is airsoft. Airsoft
is a great option out there. And it's even less going to hurt you than a BB gun.
Yeah, and you still wear iPro with it, but at Academy they have basically exact replicas of P320s for sale.
Yeah.
That are airsoft, or I don't know if those are airsoft or BB. I believe they're airsoft.
But even with airsoft guns, the slide will manipulate. It uses a full-size magazine. So I mean, you get all those benefits with a gun that's not going to hurt anybody.
There's benefits to us using airsoft.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we could do a whole nother video on that.
Force on force. I mean,
but the thing is, guys, you've got to take the curiosity out of it. You've got to. These kids that get a hold of a gun and they do something bad with it, it's because they're curious. They've never really been exposed. They've always kind of been hidden away from them. And you've got to let them get that curiosity out. I'm not saying take a fully loaded Glock 17 and go, here you go, Junior, have at it, you know. But do something like an airsoft or a BB gun or something like that to kind of get them into it. Takes the curiosity away. And now we do stuff out on the range, me and Anna. She'll take that little M&P BB gun and I'll tell her to press out and put 2 rounds on target and run and put 1 on the steel. And I mean, she's, you know, 2 rounds on paper. She puts the gun up in a temple index. If you don't like temple index, whatever. She'll put the gun up in a temple index and she will turn and run and go over to the steel, turn back, press out, and put a round on steel.
It's fun.
It's fun. You know, it's a lot of fun, and it's getting her to a position where she's comfortable with them, she's safe with them, and as soon as her mama gives me the green light, I can start buying her some real guns.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, and two, I think another thing that's important to mention is, well, a couple things. Is number one, how are your gun handling habits?
Yep.
Are you safe with the gun? Because more than anything, that kid's going to be watching you and doing what you do. So are your habits safe, or are you keeping your guns locked up where they're supposed to be? And another thing is you got to look at each kid individually.
Yep.
You know, what works for Anna, Michael's kid may not work for your kid. What works for my kid may not work for your kid. At my house, the rule is that they are not allowed to touch firearms.
Yep.
Ever.
Yep.
Without an adult present. But if they do have a question or they would like to see them, I will bring out the gun, make sure that it's safe and unloaded, and then I will answer any questions that they have about it. You know, show and tell, basically.
Yeah, and that's how it works at my house. I could pull my daughter in here right now. I could go get her from school, bring her over here, pull her in, and say, Anna, what do you do if you see a gun? And the first thing come out of her mouth is, I do not touch it. As soon as she was old enough to understand that, I have pounded that into her head. Do not touch without asking me. Yeah. I'm never going to tell you you can't, but we're going to sit down and we're going to safely look at it together. Yeah,
and you know, another thing is that not only do you want your kids to do the right thing when they're by themselves, that's kind of the easy part. You want them to do the right thing when they're with their friends, their peers.
Yep.
And in order to do that, they need to have a certain amount of respect for the firearm.
Yep. And
a lot of that goes back to you. Do you have respect for firearms? Do you show reverence to them? Do you treat them, in a way that they should be treated? Do your muzzle discipline and
Yep.
all those things?
That goes back to what I was talking about.
It starts with you, and kids are like sponges. They can take in a lot more information than we can. They can absorb it, and but you have to be the judge. You have to know your child's maturity level. You have to have a certain amount of trust with that kid.
Yep.
Because one thing me and Michael talked about is that scares me is if my kid takes more liberty than what I give him. What I mean is if I give him an inch, he's going to take a mile.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're working on at my house is letting them know that, hey, you're a kid still, and you can't do things on your own. Certain things on your own.
But at my house, I keep my guns locked up. I have a little small gun, not gun lock thing, safe, but it's just a little small safe that I bought. I'm sure it can be broken into, but it's not for that. It's for little hands, little kids. Yeah. I keep the home defense gun in there. I keep all the other firearms locked up in a gun closet that I have that's lockable that nobody can get in. I don't necessarily do it as much for my child as I do for other children that might be here, because I don't know. I don't mean this towards you at all, but I'm going to use you as an example. I don't know what you're teaching your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like if my niece comes over, I don't know what my brother-in-law or my sister have been teaching my niece.
And kids do stupid stuff under peer
kids
pressure.
do stupid stuff under peer pressure, and it can easily be 2 or 3 sitting there together talking about a gun or something. The subject of gun gets brought up, and under peer pressure they would do something that they might not even normally do. So we do keep them locked up here. It may be my kid that does it. I don't think she would. I think she's been taught better, but people make mistakes and people do a lot of things when they're peer pressured into doing stuff. But if you want your kids to get into firearms, get into shooting, continue this because they are the next generation as far as gun owners. Start them young. Start them as
a good place is Hunter Safety.
Hunter Safety is a wonderful place. I learned a lot out in the deer woods and the squirrel woods.
Yeah.
That I didn't learn at home. A lot of things were taught to me in the deer stand.
Because that's how guns were used in growing up. There wasn't a lot of defensive use talk. It was all
it was hunting and things like that. But as soon as they're old enough to comprehend what you're talking about, start talking about the danger of it, but the fact that it's not that dangerous if you are not dangerous. And talk about the fun of it and all that kind of stuff, and get those things like BB guns and airsoft guns and blue guns, all those kind of things that are safe, but that are a good way for them to put their hands on something and learn. And don't if the curiosity's there, don't keep it from them. Don't keep it from them, because the curiosity will take over and they'll fool around and shoot themselves or somebody else.
And kids are killed far too often with guns.
Yep.
Now, there's more killed by swimming pools.
Yep.
But just like anything, there's inherent risk there.
But there's preventative things.
There's things that you can do.
Be taken.
Yeah. And your kid can enjoy firearms just like you do.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about at the end of the day is that they're safe and that they're having a good time and enjoying them, and that maybe one day when they're mature enough they can actually carry a weapon on themselves and protect themselves and their family and their loved ones in turn. So
they can teach their kids like you taught them.
Yeah. So it's when is up to you and your child.
Depending on the kid.
Depends on the kid, and but my first question is always what about you? What's your what's your gun hunting habits, and keep that in mind and be mindful of that. And think about that when you talk about firearms, when you handle firearms. My kids know that I have a YouTube channel, and they tell their friends that their dad's YouTube famous. Not hardly,
which we're not.
But they know it's all about guns, and they come home and they see me handling guns sometimes. The other day I was actually putting in the ghost connector on this one when they walked in the door, and they were like, "Ah, guns again, huh?"
Yeah.
But like you said, the curiosity isn't there, because if they have a question, I'll answer it and I'll bring it out for them. So you don't ever want them to try to figure out things on their own.
No.
Be the one that teaches them. Don't let their buddies teach them, or TV, or video games, or whatever.
Yep. You teach them. Anyways, you got anything else on that?
That's it, bro.
Guys, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section below, or you can always jump over to the Facebook page. We always get into a more in-depth conversation there. To the guy that said something to us about this and gave us this idea, I don't know if you want your name said on YouTube land, so I'm not going to say it, but you know who you are, and we appreciate the idea. We will also provide links to all of our social media outlets, akmtactical.com, and our sponsors in the description box below. But anyways, guys, we appreciate y'all watching. Y'all be safe.